I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Yeah, fuck this bitch.
Do you mean that figuratively or literally? Because
yeah, no, I understand why you would ask that, knowing my track record. Okay, so yes. So here's the thing. Yes, I would smash Ilhan Omar because I'm disgusting. But no, seriously, fuck this bitch. Like, imagine you are Ilhan Omar. You're a fucking Somali immigrant, right? In a predominantly white country, and you're sitting across from a man named Mehdi Hassan, also an immigrant, and the two of you are sitting in this predominantly white country and openly talking about how white men are the problem. And they say this with zero fear of repercussions.
refugee, by the way.
Yeah,
refugee.
Yes, exactly. She's a refugee. She has refugee status. And it's just like, you fucking, like, you honestly think that white men are the problem while you sit in a majority white country talking shit about white people, knowing that white people aren't going to do anything about it. Like the cognitive dissonance. Like, I would say it shocks me that they don't feel this, but I genuinely think that Ilhan Omar and Mehdi Hassan are too fucking stupid to feel cognitive dissonance. I'm just, goddamn. I keep telling myself I don't want to live in an ethno state, but Jesus Christ. People like Ilhan Omar make me kind of think, you know what, maybe ethno states is the way to go. I'm joking, of course. But you get where I'm coming from. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? I hate this woman. I really do. By the way, if and when I ever have sex with Ilhan Omar, it's not going to be nice. It's going to be like hate fucking.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know my stance on that, so, you know.
Your stance on what? Hate fucking?
Yeah, I've always said hate sex is the best sex, so there's that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never actually hate fucked anybody, so I don't know. But, you know.
I know it's sinful, but at the same time, it's like,
Yeah, no, I read years ago, and I've talked about this before, but I read years ago in the Canadian news that there was this Canadian trial of this intelligence officer, and in the trial, as part of his testimony, he was talking about how Ilhan Omar is a plant. I can't remember a plant for who. Like, I can't remember all the details. This is back in like 2022, I think I read this, or early 2023. But but it talked about she's a plant. They use sex to control her, and she's a giant sex freak. So I'm just like, yeah, that tracks to me. Especially when you consider she married her brother. So now the people who most people say that she never married her brother, but I'm pretty confident in saying she did. But a lot of people think it was just like a legal document kind of thing to get him a green card. But then there's like, there's that they take it that further step and assume that her and her brother were fucking. Like, but no, I reposted Libs of TikTok who shared that video, and I reposted it and said, "No, you brother fucking Muslim whore. What our country should fear is foreign troglodytes like you getting elected to Congress." Remember, I don't have a problem with foreigners. I don't even necessarily have a problem with the idea that a foreign-born person can't get elected to Congress. I just don't think Somali Muslims who are here on refugee status, who say wildly
We say
stupid shit
shit.
like this.
Yeah,
The
wildly anti-American shit like
and
this.
the only reason
It's
why
just
she's even in Congress is because she's elected in a district that is majority
it's full
Somali.
of fucking Somalis. Yeah, exactly. It's like what, bro?
Like if they were to, if they redistrict, if they did a redistricting in fucking in fuck man, I'm gonna show how fucking stupid I am. I can't remember if she's from Michigan or Minnesota, but I think Michigan. But regardless,
You
whatever
see
state
that?
I can't remember.
Pretty sure she's from Minnesota. To be honest with you.
Either way, if they did redistricting, I guarantee she would lose her seat. Well, I don't know about guarantee because it's possible that she could get redistricted and still have a bunch of Somalis and then a bunch of shit libs who vote
Because
for her.
I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
uh, Ilhan Omar is from Minnesota and Rashida Tlaib is from Michigan.
Yeah, I think that's right. But yep. Ilhan Omar is from Minnesota. She's in the 5th congressional district of Minnesota. She is 42. She's from Mogadishu.
Leave it to the non-American to know more about the American.
Well, I did say I couldn't. I did say Minnesota. I just couldn't remember if it was Minnesota or Michigan. They both start with M. They're geographically. They both start with M. They're in the same geographic location.
They're literally right next to each other, basically.
Yeah, and they both have a problem. And they both have problems with a bunch of Somalis have fucking settled in both states.
Well, not just Somalis, but
Yeah,
Michigan has more of a Muslim problem generally.
yeah,
Minnesota is I remember. Do you remember there was this one guy we had in the other server, in the old server, who lived in Minnesota, and he was a truck driver, and all he complained about like all the time were fucking Somalis taking over his state.
yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Here we see the fruition of that worry. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's I really hate Ilhan Omar, and I kind of wish he would be deported. Like no, I think you should lose your congressional seat. I think the comments alone are enough, in my opinion, to disqualify her from sitting in Congress, and I think she should be considered for deportation. She is a net negative to the country, as far as I'm concerned. I'm pretty sure Rashida Tlaib
Yeah,
was at least born here.
I'm not sure about that actually, but yeah, it's a bit late because she's now a citizen, so it's gonna go down a dangerous path if you start advocating for that. I don't disagree, right? I don't disagree. However, you know,
Yeah, Rashida Tlaib was born in Dearborn, or Detroit, not Dearborn, Detroit, Michigan. But yeah, no, fuck Ilhan Omar. But I saw that video, and that video is actually old. It's not even a new comment. That was from like 2019 when she said that. It was around. It was either during her campaign or it was shortly after she got elected. But still, I don't imagine that she has you know she's never walked any of that back. So
what should she?
yeah, no, she has no reason to. But in other foreigner news, you remember adorable Chinese waifu who doesn't like blacks?
Yeah.
Black nigger.
That's my favorite part. She sings the fucking song. Nay, nicka, nay, nay, nicka, nicka, nay, nay. Which I actually had to look that song up because I was just curious, like what it's actually like, what it's actually supposed to be about, and it's called like Rainbows, Sunshine, and White Ponies or some shit like that.
Yep.
It's like super like upbeat and like it's a very like positive energy song, like,
Well,
and
that's what it's supposed to be. Yes.
it's been fucking like the memes
It's
that
been hijacked. Yep.
But yeah, and I did confirm this happened in China.
Go back to your country.
Oh, okay.
Go back to your
Get
country,
fucked.
nigger. We don't welcome black people. Black people should go. Go back to Africa. You look so fucking ugly with your dark skin color. Go back to Africa. 回到非洲去好吗？人家不爱你。Go back to your country. Nigger, 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 nigger. You eat watermelon? I'm going to send this to my boyfriend because he's white and he's your master.
I'm going to send this to my boyfriend because he's white and he's your master. Base Chinese waifu. Obviously, the Chinese people are known for their racism, especially when it comes to Africans. But as we all know, the CCP has been doing a lot of deals in Africa. So allegedly, according to Agent Dawn, that particular Chinese girl was arrested and forced by the authorities to apologize to the African lady who she talked shit to.
Totally sorry for what I have done. I think we're all humans, and why I have such opinion because my ex-boyfriend, he was brainwashed me for a long time, and now I realize it's totally wrong. I shouldn't like put my personal emotions on others. I think we are all the same. And you're cultivated, you have quality, you know about culture, and you teach English. So I think you probably, in some ways, you are even better than me. And I shouldn't even have such things. I'm really sorry for that. Forgive you.
好了，谢谢。
She does not believe a word of what she just fucking said. So you're telling me that in the time between that video got posted and it's also funny she's wearing the same clothes, which kind of makes me think maybe this whole thing was a setup, but I also wouldn't put it past the Chinese authorities to make her do this public apology on video wearing the same clothes she was
as a
wearing.
stunt. Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
I mean, she was obviously like that was the most scripted fucking apology I've ever heard in my entire life.
yeah, and she also says that apparently between the time of that video getting posted and this video being recorded, she broke up with her white boyfriend, and she blames, of course, the white guy for brainwashing her. And then says that you, African lady, are probably actually better than me. Like, she does not fucking believe that. I do not believe she believes that. She was told to say that by some CCP agents because it was like, listen, bitch, we got a lot of business brewing in Africa right now. We ain't trying to have that fucking demon time right now. You're making us fucking look bad, so you're going to go apologize to that black lady. Because we're not going to sit here and pretend that, like, all of a sudden, like, these Chinese people are suddenly waking up and deciding, it's like, oh, I'm actually not racist anymore. Haha. Like, no fucking way. Like, I do not believe for a hot second that this is some kind of, like, awakening.
Genuine.
Yeah, no. She was forced to do this, or or this entire thing was a stunt. Someone in China set this whole thing up. I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm not entirely sure, but funny anyway. Still funny, like the first video, the video of her doing just the nay nigga nay nay nigga nay nay, just crack, and like that's one of the reasons why I think at least the first part was semi-legitimate, only because it's like that means someone took the time to explain how this like Chinese pop song from like 2020 or something like that, because it's like 4 years old, 5 years old, something like that, is gone viral in the United.
Now the meme is 4 or 5 years old, but The song is like over a decade old, I'm pretty sure.
No, I looked it up the other day, and the video was posted on YouTube like about 4 or 5 years ago. But
Yeah, but it was posted in fucking what, Bilibili or like some other thing ages ago.
well, regardless, somebody, her white boyfriend probably took the
Yeah,
time to explain the meme to her.
somebody had to explain the circumstances to her because that shit does not come naturally to me.
Yeah, there's a
So-
reason. Yeah, like I don't think the Chinese people are going, hey, 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 hey. The chorus of this song sounds like the N word. Like, yep. No, Asian Dawn is. I follow him on Twitter. He is based. He's based. Why are Africans in China? Because Africans don't like Africa. He said down here, arresting a person for saying a word? How communist of them. It's not like democratic countries would do that. Oh, wait. Looking at you, England, United Kingdom. Yeah, and it's a lot of people down here are trying to figure out like why like the Chinese, like why the CCP or the Chinese authorities period would force her to apologize, and the generally accepted thing is that like, well, because they want to downplay anti-African racism because they're doing so much business in Africa. But again, they had they had absolutely no problem blaming her behavior on a white guy brainwashing her. So it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and of course the CCP is ignoring anti-Chinese racism from the Africans because it's expedient. So yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility. So
Listen, man, they need cobalt. Okay, they need cobalt just like everybody else does. And they need farmland because, they got to import all their own food. So they need, rather than buy food from other countries, they'd rather just buy up a shitload of land in a bunch of dirt poor African countries so they could get better trade deals. But mostly it's mostly it's cobalt. I'd say is the big thing that they're after because their EV market is pretty big.
well, to be fair, you do know that China imports most of its food as well.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just saying. They have to import most of
Yeah,
their food.
but like that's the thing. Like it's fucking it's just silly to me how the country with supposedly the largest population in the world up until recently, right?
Yeah.
Has to import most of its food.
Well, is it most of China like arid and you really can't grow anything?
No, but like the Chinese, like the territory that China does have like a lot of fertile land in it as well. It's just that the CCP is fucking retarded. This is what happens when you put communism in.
That's the thing. I was always under the impression that one of the reasons why they had to import so much food is because a lot of China is too arid to grow food on.
Yeah, but like China was also just like one massive empire that was relatively self-sufficient in terms of food for thousands of years.
Yeah, with a much smaller population, and the majority of the poor were living on.
No, China has always been like, dude, like by the time of like some of the largest conflicts in world history in terms of casualties, China had like, as a percentage of the world population, probably more than half of it at some point.
Well, yeah, sure, but I'm saying that like, what's China's current population? Like 1 point something billion?
Well, they claim that it's 1.4 billion. Yeah.
Okay, so we're saying like at what point post like after the
Like
unification?
I'm saying, like by the time that the Qin Shi Huangdi, unified China, by that point, like I think the Chinese population is already like 300 million or so.
Well, sure, 300
And
million is a lot.
Yeah,
less
but
than
that's
a billion.
not. But the Chinese population, the area of the Chinese like borders at that point is about a third of what they have right now, and that doesn't include a lot of the Yangtze or the Yellow River deltas, which is the most fertile parts of China. So, like they've always been kind of self-sufficient in terms of food. Like it's just communists are retarded, and the fastest way to lose weight is to go on the communist diet. So
I have a plan. What's that? Well, let's go kill all the farmers. Why? Because they're landowners. They're bourgeois. But Comrade Stalin, they make all the food. It'll be fine. Don't worry. It'll be fine. Nobody's gonna starve to death. It'll be okay. Trust me. Trust me, dog. I got this. Okay? I'm Stalin. Have I ever steered you guys wrong? Yeah, that's what I thought. Now go kill all farmers.
Well, I mean, in China's case, there's literally Mao, so.
Yeah. I just know Stalin better. You know what I mean? I know more about what happened in Russia than I do China. I'm not as abreast of Chinese history, probably as I should be. I'm not as abreast, to be honest. I don't know in super detail about Soviet, Russian, Slavic history, but I probably know more of that than I do.
It's essentially the same anyway.
Mao just said kill all the farmers because they're too bourgeois.
No, it's not that. It's this is a very, very like distilled way of saying it, right? Mao started this 5-year plan. It failed.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then he used this to scapegoat the fact that too many people still own their individual farms, so we'll collectivize everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the great leap forward of 1957.
Mm-hmm.
That failed, resulted in the Great Famine that killed, like, conservative estimates put it at about 30 to 40 million people. That's conservative. The highest estimates are like 80 million or some shit.
Yes.
Right? And then in the 60s, because of that failed Great Leap Forward, Mao launched the Cultural Revolution, which was to purge China of basically people who didn't like that he failed the Great Leap Forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, very, very distilled, like, version of events. But yeah, like literally everything that's happening to China now is as a result of shit that the CCP pulled like over the years. So anyway.
It's all going to be fine now that she's in charge. Well, I mean, he's been in charge for a while. But it'll all be fine. Trust me, comrade. All right? Trust me, Tovarish. You know, whenever I see videos from DSA meetings and they call each other comrade, it actually bothers me. Like, we jokingly refer to each other as Tovarish because it's funny, but, like, they mean it. Like, they refer to each other as comrade, like, and it just bugs the shit out of me. Like, just fuck, you know?
Well, do you remember that? What was it? I'm pretty sure it was UK Labour. They were calling each other comrades, and comrades, and comrades, and comrades, like that meeting. It's just like,
yeah, stop using the enemy's language. But then again, they don't
well,
consider
it's
communists
labor,
the enemy. Yeah, and they don't consider communism the enemy.
Well, my thing is that comrade is that refers to a specific someone that you shed blood with,
Yeah.
right? It's like what, you cunts are all LARPers, bro.
But yeah, she probably got put through a struggle session and was paraded out, assuming that this wasn't all set up, and paraded out wearing the same clothes she was wearing in the original video to really kind of strike home the point that, like, what she did was bad and that she's walking it back. So yeah, poor Asian lady.
He done a good.
But so Pierre Poilievre is probably going to make a comeback. He's probably going to keep a seat. Conservative MP gives up seat for Pierre Poilievre to run in by-election. Now, this is assuming that he can win this by, but they want to keep him around, presumably as a Conservative Party leader.
Doesn't make sense if he can't even win it. Like this just makes it makes the conservative the conservative portion of parliament even less.
Well, yeah, like I said, if Pierre can't hold on to his own seat, then what?
What's the guarantee that he's going to be able to win this new one?
Yeah,
Like,
well,
what?
let's say he does win this new one. If he couldn't hold on to the seat he was originally holding, does that not show a complete lack of confidence in his leadership? It would to me. It does to me. You know.
Like, yeah, like this should be this should be a thing where if your leader loses um, an election, he should be replaced.
Yeah, probably. He probably, even if he can keep this seat in this by-election, or he can win this new seat in this by-election, he should probably be replaced as the Conservative Party leader. He had his shot, and he kind of fumbled the bag. So, although to be fair, now some could probably say that under his leadership, the Conservative Party now has more seats than ever before. Or not ever before, but they have more seats now than they've had in, 20 years or something like that. So, that's, that probably leads some credence to the idea that under his leadership they have, made some gains. But, at the same time, is this the right call? Like, fine, keep him around because he's a popular face, I guess. But, like, again, if, like, maybe it's time for a shuffling of leadership. Or, I don't know. A Conservative MP is giving up his seat to allow Pierre Poilievre to run in a by-election after Prime Minister Mark Carney said he'd be ready to call one as soon as possible. On Friday, the Conservative Party announced Conservative MP-elect Damien Kurek will resign to allow Poilievre to run in an upcoming by-election. Kurek was first elected in Alberta, riding in the Alberta riding of Battle River, Crowfoot in 2019. The Conservatives handily won that riding on Monday with nearly 82% of the vote. Yeah, people voted for this Kurek guy, and now they're going to have to turn around and vote again for Pierre Poilievre after he couldn't even keep the seat in his own district. In a post to X on Friday, Poilievre said, "It is with humility and appreciation that I have accepted Damien Kurek's offer to resign his seat." And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the whole X post. I don't know, because the whole thing just seems like not a good idea. This seems like bad optics. But I don't know, parliamentary politics, maybe this is kind of a thing that you just do. But all right, let's continue reading about gay Canadian politics that nobody cares about. He also wrote that he will work to earn the trust of the good people of Battle River Crowfoot and will continue to hold the Liberal minority government to account until the next federal election, when we will bring real change to all Canadians. Now, this is an opportunity, I suppose, for Poilievre to kind of reassess, okay, what was my rhetoric? Like, what could I do differently? And now, again, I don't think the play is to be rabidly anti-Trump. I don't think that's necessarily the play. But I don't know, maybe to be more... My three black cats said you have a funny accent. Do I have a funny accent? Do I? I've lived in states all over the country. I've grown up all over America. I've swam in both great oceans. So I probably do have a goofy-ass American accent. It's kind of a hodgepodge of everything.
Yeah, it's not like southern, but...
I definitely do have a bit of a drawl from the fact that I've lived in Kentucky for so long. So
yeah.
I've spent the majority of my...
Definitely don't sound like a Yank, though. So
I live in I lived in Kentucky for most of my life, so yes. But I think he needs to be more aggressive. They're Yankee cats, to be fair. They give me grief also. Fair enough, 13. Damn Yankees. No, I think he needs to be more. I mean, he needs to be more Trump-like, to be honest. I think he needs to be more aggressive. And I mean, he has been aggressive. Like, a lot of his clips in Parliament has gone viral, where he was talking shit. To Castro. I meant to say
Justin
Trudeau.
Castro.
I meant to say Trudeau and accidentally said Castro.
Justin Castro.
I mean, he
I mean,
is a Castro, but still, like,
yeah.
I genuinely meant to say Trudeau and realized I said Castro.
Fucking beautiful. But yeah, it's I don't know. Canadian politics is a bit similar to the stance I have, right? The UK, Canada, and Australia are like a three-way race to the bottom,
Yeah,
and the UK is currently winning that one, but it doesn't mean that Canada and Australia are digging themselves
Well,
even deeper into the hole as well.
Canada of the three, Canada seems like the one with the best chance to kind of right the ship. The problem is
Really?
well, yeah, because again, yes, the Conservatives did not win the House. Pierre Poilievre is not the Prime Minister, but they did gain a bunch of new seats. This is the most amount of seats they've had in decades. So again, some ground was gained. It's just, is Poilievre the man for the job? And if Poilievre's not the man for the job, if
I
he can't,
don't know about that, because from what I'm seeing, like the Canadian quote unquote right is more to the left of even the Australian right.
well, I was about to say that. I was going to say the problem is the Canadian right wing is still pretty fucking liberal. So like,
No, but that's what I mean. So like, I don't see how Canada is the one that seems to be like righting the ship, because, and this might just be my bias showing, but because I live in Australia, but Australia's not that lost, I guess. Like, does that make sense? Like, I mean, we did have probably like the worst COVID response out of the three, but in terms of like the whole demographic issue, I think we're probably the best positioned to get ourselves out of that hole.
It's possible. The problem is your guys'
because like, I mean, we're not even really in that deep of a hole to begin with. So
yeah, but didn't your guys' Conservative Party get absolutely butt fucked?
well, in the same way that the Canadians did, yeah.
No, but I mean, did your Conservative Party gain any seats?
Technically no, but technically yes. That makes sense. Because the Conservative Party is a coalition. Like, it's made up of two parties.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the one party lost seats and the other party gained.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I think there was more gained than actually lost. But yeah.
Fair enough. According to a statement from both Poilievre and Keurig is only temporarily stepping aside. Although it will be hard to temporarily step away from this role in this region I love and have always called home, the mandate given to me is one that clearly states that change is needed. Offering this seat to our party leader is an important step in that process, Keurig wrote. In a significant upset, Poilievre lost in the Ottawa area riding of Carleton, a seat he's held for 20 years, by more than 4,300 votes to Liberal candidate Bruce Fanjoy. But despite losing his seat and leading the party to its fourth failed attempt to defeat the Liberals, Poilievre appears to have support from the party for now. Poilievre is absolutely staying on, former leader and re-elected Conservative MP for the riding of Regina, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, Coupel, Andrew Scheer told CTV Power Play on Wednesday. While Poilievre remains the leader of the Conservative Party, he is no longer the leader of the official opposition after losing his riding. The party will now look to find an interim leader to lead the party in the House of Commons until Poilievre finds a new seat. The Conservative Party caucus is set to meet for the first time since losing the federal election on Tuesday, according to an internal memo obtained by CTV News. The meeting is also being called to, quote, exercise provisions set out in the Reform Act contained in Section 49 of the Parliament of Canada Act, the memo reads. Through the Reform Act, an initiative from Ontario Conservative MP Michael Chong that came into effect in 2015, the caucus can vote on giving themselves 4 key internal powers for the coming season, including the ability to review and remove their party leader and elect an interim replacement. If Conservatives want to forge ahead with a leadership review, 20% of the caucus would need to sign a formal agreement to trigger the process. Then it would require a majority of caucus members to vote to remove the leader through a secret ballot process. In 2022, the party used those powers to oust former Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole. Months following months of turmoil in Jesus Christ, you people and your modern news websites and their editing skills are dog shit. Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole following months of turmoil in the wake of the 2021 federal election loss. And then, of course, I'm not going to read the whole rest of this article, but I will just read Carney's statement. Quote, I've already indicated to Mr. Poilievre that if it's a decision of him and the Conservative Party to trigger, if I can put it that way, a by-election, I will ensure that it happens as soon as possible, Carney said when speaking to reporters on Friday for the first time since winning the election. No games, nothing. Straight. So Carney's saying that, yes, if you guys are insisting on Poilievre staying on, then I will help you find him a seat so that he can stay on, which is interesting, honestly.
I don't know. Maybe it's a tactic to ensure that he only has someone that he already technically defeated, right?
Yeah, I suppose he could say it's okay, I want to keep this guy on because I've beaten him once, so I can likely beat him again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean, because who knows? Maybe the Conservatives, if they could find some even more based Canadian Conservative, like someone from the West Coast of Canada, which is the red area for them, or the Conservative area for them, is it not? So
I think so, yeah.
So they could find an even more which they wouldn't do this because they're Canadians, but
well, we'll see, because I mean, Carney already, bent the knee, basically, to Trump. I mean, so yeah,
yeah. Well, I'm waiting to see what comes of Carney and Trump's first official meeting once Carney's once everything is settled post election. Like I said, I'm curious to see what comes out of that. Anyway, 13 had something to say. He said, that's one of my biggest gripes with Jake Rattlesnake. I don't know if you are familiar with him. He's an Australian YouTuber, Rattlesnake TV. He's in a big hurry to leave Australia when Australia desperately needs good conservatives. I mean, I suppose he doesn't see the point in trying to bucket water out of a sinking ship. But again, if the ship is not sinking, not completely sinking, then maybe you're right. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. I'll give the new the Labour government, the continuing Labour government, a year. We'll see how it goes. I do have a bit of a black pill, but it's only a state thing that I found out today. So it's a bit different. But yeah.
Well, speaking of which, you sent me this video earlier, and I've got it on 1.5 times speed. I figure we'll go through it. So, there's been a wipeout, according to this video from 5 days ago, about in the wake of the Australian elections. So,
bear with me. It's been a long campaign, not just the official 33 days. So I'm going to give you a considered response to the weekend's big win for the Prime Minister. Certainly not the result I was hoping for, and I suspect most of you either. My hope was that the electorate would punish a poor government that had broken promises, let them down, and made their lives more difficult, despite legitimate misgivings they might have had about the opposition. Maybe not enough to win, but enough to make the chance of winning in 3 years' time more likely than not. But that's not what happened. Electorally, there's been a wipeout. More so for the Liberals, though, than the Nationals, and I'll get to that in a moment. And Labor under now Albanese has broken records, with Albanese now the only third Labor leader in its 120-year history to win 2 terms of government, after Gough Whitlam and Bob Hawke. Now, on the numbers as they stand tonight, Labor holds 87 seats in the House, 13 seats still undecided. Even now, that's better than Kevin Rudd's Kevin 07 landslide win of 83 seats, better than Hawke's 82 seats. But it's still a long way short of Howard's 94-seat win in 1996 or Abbott's landslide of 90 seats in 2013. The commentators are pointing out that what's remarkable here about this win is that it is a second-term win, and a win of such magnitude. And they're right. That's why they say, on the numbers as they stand, the coalition looks like it's out for 2 terms. But let's add some perspective here. In 2004, Howard was neck and neck with Labor's Mark Latham for much of that campaign. Now, I remember it well. It was my husband's first effort as Howard's federal campaign director. And in the end, Howard won 87 seats, almost what Albanese has won over the weekend. That was at Howard's 3rd election. Now, I think that stands as some sort of record even still. There was a whopping primary vote, 46.7% to the coalition, and he won a rare Senate majority as well. Now, people then said Labor was out for a generation. 3 years later, though, it was the coalition thrown out of office, Rudd in the lodge, and Howard famously losing his own seat. So hear me on this. In politics, it's never as good as it seems, and it's never as bad as it seems. And if you don't keep your feet on the ground, if you start to believe your own BS, well, you're in a hiding to nothing. As Churchill famously said, success is not permanent, failure is not fatal. So sure, there's much to learn from Saturday night, but if you're a conservative like me, we can't fall into the trap of letting the left write our obituary as they try and bury us, because the reality is a lot more nuanced than the headlines. So let's have some perspective on what's happened here, and let's now pull apart what went wrong and where to now for the opposition. First up, as I said, Albanese's win is historic and it's emphatic. He deserves congratulations, as I said on air on Saturday night, because if you underestimate your opponent or deny the legitimacy of a big win, then you consign yourself to opposition for a very long time, as we can see from state Liberals who do this on a regular basis across the country. But, and this is a big but, there are some important points that need to be understood because the seat count is deceptive. Right now, Albanese has picked up some 87 seats off a primary vote of around 34.7%. Now, that primary vote might still bounce around a little as counting continues, but that's basically where it is. So a 34.7% primary, and he's got a pickup of 87 seats. Now, by contrast, the next best win, as I said, by Labor was Rudd in 2007. And there, Kevin 07 picked up 83 seats on a primary of 43.4%. 43.4%. Now, that's massive. And it's a difference of about 10 percentage points on primary for about the same number of seats between Rudd and Albanese. Indeed, if I take a look at 2016, Bill Shorten there lost out to Malcolm Turnbull, but he had a primary vote then of 34.73%, and he lost. And yet tonight, as they're hailing Albanese as a Labor legend, his primary sits on 34.79. Now, that's a difference of 0.06% between Shorten's loss and Albanese's triumph. 0.06%. And yet Shorten then claimed 69 seats. Tonight, Albanese's got 87, maybe more. So how does that happen? Well, key here is obviously the flow of preferences and the fact that there are way more players on the left of politics now, some being declared on the left like the Greens, some who pretend they're not on the left but are like the Teals, who funnel preferences in a very disciplined way to Labor. Now, this is very much what happened in the recent UK election, where Keir Starmer's Labor Party painted the map in red, but off a very low vote share of the national vote. And this is what happened here in Australia on the weekend. Indeed.
Okay, so essentially what she's saying is the coalition voters, it's not that the Labor is just flatly more popular, it's that coalition voters just didn't turn out.
Remember what I said?
That it wasn't as bad as it seems?
Yeah. Like it wasn't as bad as it seems, in the sense that it's not that people are lurching left, but it's also pretty bad in the sense that we don't have a real conservative party. But I've been saying that for that's been a reality for.
Well, yeah, your right-wing party is called the Liberal Party, so
it's that's been the truth for 2 generations minimum. So.
You guys need a MAGA party. You need Make Australia Great Again. Some guy who's going to come out there and runs on a platform of getting rid of all the Chinese and Pajeets and giving everybody their guns back.
Problem is, Australia is a bit too Anglicanized.
I'm going to give you your guns back.
We technically already have a party like that. It's called look up Clive Palmer. He keeps trying to do this every single election. And Australia's Pauline Hanson's One Nation.
Shit, hold on. I accidentally closed my fucking Firefox.
Nah, but you don't need to look at it now. But yeah, those two, if you want to dig deeper, those two are technically our actual right-wing parties. But yeah, they never really get a lot of votes. Because it's not, they're not that popular. And this is the thing with this is why I keep saying that this whole parliamentary proportional representation thing is kind of retarded in a way.
Yeah, no, I think
because it doesn't really let the idea is that it's supposed to let smaller parties have a share at the table, when at the end of the day, that's not how it turns out. As unfortunately, as what some people that we know keep insisting is that this is not, this shouldn't be how the way it is. And it's dude, don't try to bash your head against the brick wall known as reality, because you're not going to win that fight.
Yeah,
Right,
parliamentary politics, like for all the problems that people see out of America, representative republicanism seems to be better than parliament. Like, you know what I mean? It seems like we more often than not get what we want, as opposed to it seems like English voters, for instance, definitely want a proper conservative government, but they keep getting dog shit.
milk stuff's bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they either get labor governments or conservatives who can only win because they make coalitions with the liberal Democrats, and then they end up, cucking to everything the labor wants anyway. So, like famously, Liz Truss was actually going to lower everybody's taxes, so they fucking kicked her out and replaced her with Rishi Sunak. Like, and I'm not really saying that Liz Truss would have been this like conservative superhero in England, but like, she wanted to do something as simple as maybe we should lower everybody's taxes.
She was more in the right direction.
Yeah.
Than like fucking anyone since Margaret Thatcher, maybe.
It's like maybe we shouldn't do what Boris did. Maybe we should meet the people where they're at, and maybe let's start with lowering taxes. How about that? Like, I bet that'll make some goodwill, and then instantly, like, it's like the meme of the comic of the one person at the table says something reasonable, so they throw him out the window. Like, replacing with Rishi Sunak, who nobody fucking wanted to be prime minister.
Mm-hmm.
And then look what happened. And the difference between Australia and England is that you're not required to vote in the UK. You don't have to go to the polls and vote. So like,
well, she's about to bring it up. So if you just keep playing the video, she's like, this is like a massive point.
Look at this. Look at the national vote here in sheer numerical terms. You've got 4.62 million Australians who voted Labor and 4.23 million who voted for the coalition. Now, that's a difference of just some 390,000 votes. But thanks to where they all fell and the preference flows, tonight Labor out of that hall has got 87 seats and the coalition hasn't even bagged 40. See what I mean here about perspective. Turnout too, well, that's worth mentioning. In 2022, Australia had the lowest voter turnout since the First World War of 89.82% of the electorate. Right now, according to the AEC's website, that turnout's tracking at 77%.
Ooh, damn.
So to put that too into perspective, that's a massive drop that says voter engagement in our elections.
Imagine that. You're an Australian guy and you're just like, I'm so black-pilled, I'm just going to pay the fucking fine. I ain't voting for this shit. Like.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like, Australia has mandatory voting that's backed by a fine, and if you don't pay the fine, prison.
What happens if I don't pay the fine?
People are just opting to not vote and just either pay the fine or like this is fucked, right? Like,
yeah, that's not good. It's very not good. This is what needs to happen. Okay, when Charles dies of cancer, William takes the throne. He fucking decides to make his regnal name Richard, and he goes on a crusade to reclaim the empire. And he starts with Australia. He so King Richard II or third, whatever the fuck it would be, just shows up in Australia one day and just says, "You're all part of the empire again." He dissolves your parliament. I'm just kidding. That won't happen. I'm sure William is as cucked as every other English person. Oh shit, wrong thing. I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. All right.
It's falling fast. So this is why you need perspective in analysing election results. You've got to know how to read the numbers, because in the end, for all the spin, the numbers are key. Which brings me to the other things that need to be mentioned tonight about Labor's win. Yes, the Labor lies were a big part of it. And the handouts, the hundreds of billions of dollars spent buying the support of voters. The lie and the buy, I call it. But it would be a big mistake to make that everything. Now, it was something, but it was not everything. That's because a loss of this magnitude can't be put down to just one reason. You don't lose like this without it being a failure across multiple fronts. Now, that's not to say that the reasons won't be weighted differently, because they will be. Some things will have made more of an impact than others. But in the end, there's rarely a silver bullet for a win, and similarly, rarely one for a loss. What we do know is that Peter Dutton was unpopular, deeply unpopular. Now, that's been known for some time, years in fact, so it's on the Liberal Party's head that they didn't do more to tackle this. It's not like they haven't had unpopular leaders in the past. Howard and Abbott, two key examples, but both of them won landslide elections, more seats to both than Labor has ever won in any election in history. So you can reframe perceptions, you can disrupt and then remake the narrative, you can do it. And yet they didn't do this for Dutton. When they tried, it was too late. And they squandered his remaining core equities of strength and predictability with policy backflips and a whole lot of fence-sitting on issues where a clear line should have come quickly and simply. But as unpopular as Dutton might have been, let's not now gloss over the fact that he had Labor on the ropes just a couple of months ago if you look at this polling trend graph. Now, don't fall for the line that this was all Dutton's fault because he had Labor beaten only a couple of months ago. But then came the official campaign and that's where those lines fall over dramatically and pull apart in Labor's favour. Now, there's no easy way to say this. The Liberals ran a bad campaign. It was a shocker. And I say here the Liberals very deliberately because I want to largely exclude the Nationals for reasons I'll explain a little later. Now, it hurts to say this because a lot of the people I know in the campaign team, in the Liberal Party and with the leader, I've worked with closely in elections where we have won. Now, almost across the board, the Liberal Party campaign was found wanting. Poor ads ran way too late. No real negative campaign to speak of. A failure to tackle the character hits against the leader. Completely flat-footed on Labor's lies around things such as Medicare. Now, they knew that would come at them. Previous experience told them Mediscare would come at them. Criticisms too about the use of the polling company Freshwater and their lack of nous. I had lines that the pollsters were briefing out regurgitated back to me recently by someone who appears on this network. I said they were completely fanciful, the Freshwater lines. They didn't make numerical sense if you know how to read polling. Well, that's been proven right. Now, fortunately, you can replace a pollster, but only after the damage has been done. Another area of real damage was policy, or the lack of it. Now, this was a Liberal Party campaign full of the sugar hit of announcements, but without the substantive policies that underpin them. I mean, where were the documents? Where were the proper costings? Where were things properly socialised months and months earlier so that people had a chance to digest them, understand them, know how the policies would help them? And sure, the campaign team, the staff, as I mentioned before, well, they wear blame here, sure, but ultimately, policy comes down to the work of the shadow ministry. And if they don't do the work, if the MPs don't do the work, then you end up with the result we got on Saturday night. Getting policy out early and having it founded on your party's values, deeply written in your DNA, well, that is critical to winning voters over because you then build on your core equities with voters. For the coalition, obviously, that's economic management, it's national security. It's also how you deny your opponents the ability to turn your policy announcements into a scare campaign. Because believe me, if you announce things late and half-baked and on the run, that scare campaign, it almost writes itself. Especially when Labor's got a team of media mates and a whole new industry of these online influencers to push out that scare campaign. Which then brings me to communications, or lack of them in this case, lack of communication skill. The coalition failed here too. Yes, Labor told lies. Yes, the PM flashed his Medicare card every day to sell that lie. But the Liberals did very little to counteract them. When they tried, it was too late. Because the coalition matched almost all of Labor's spending, it was impossible for Labor to say that the Libs would, as an example, cut health directly. So instead, Labor built a straw man to do that. And they used Dutton's nuclear power plant. The cost of his nuclear power plan, they said, was $600 billion. It was never $600 billion. That was completely made up. It came from a Labor-linked lobby group with connections to Simon Holmes à Court. But that didn't matter. Labor used the $600 billion figure to make a connection in voters' minds that if Dutton's nuclear plant cost that much, then the money had to come from somewhere. Hence that deadly line, he cuts, you pay. And yet until I raise that figure here about...
Yeah, can you pause this for a second? Like the whole Medicare thing, right? So you probably know that Australia has, quote unquote, socialized medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know what Albanese's government did, like literally when they took office 3 years ago. The first thing they did. So we used to have free GP visits, basically.
Yeah.
The first thing they did was install a $60 copay for every GP visit.
Huh. Okay. Yeah.
So why the hell was that not brought up?
Because the campaign dropped the fucking ball.
Yeah, exactly. Like, here I am, just your average fucking retard on the internet, right? Like, for Christ's sake, I have fucking Bishop Rape Man as my goddamn avatar, right? If there's like any proof you can have of me being just a complete fucking dickhead, that's what it is. And yet I remember that shit, and fucking for some reason the quote unquote right wing, the opposition, didn't fucking pick on that. Like, that's a thing that people are still bitching about, even now, 3 years later. You know?
Yeah. Well, and
for some reason,
it kind of makes you wonder, like, the people that are working in the campaign, it's like, where are their heads at? Like, what are they What are
Up their
they
fucking
doing?
ass from the looks of
Like,
things.
what are they like? Where are you? Like, why aren't you like listening to what voters have to say about these things? Like, this just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, Trump is an incredibly great example of being very reactive to the wills of the base. Like, the base wants a thing, and he tries to give it to them. Generally speaking, a few exceptions here and there, but he's really pretty good at that. Now, people say that's a weakness. I'm like, except it's clearly not. Like, it works for him because he has people in his campaign who tell him what's being said on X, who tell him what's being said on YouTube. You know,
Tell them what's being said on the street.
he listens to people, and Trump ultimately wants everyone to like him. I think that, I don't know. And again, people say that's a weakness, but I don't think it's a weakness. Like, that seems like a good thing. Like, I want as many of my constituents to like me as possible. So I better give them what they want so they will like me. Like, that seems like the most, like, basic kind of, like, you know, thing that one would do in order to try to win an election, you know, or try to get support for any of your fuck, I can't even think of the word. Any of your plans.
Any of your policies.
Policy, thank you. Any of your
Any
policy.
of your proposals and all that.
Yeah. Is just to try to give the people what they want. And when you do something they don't like, walk it back. It's like, ooh, man,
Or,
the bump stock thing
not
didn't
even
get
just walking
overwhelmed.
back. Be like, you know.
It's like, ooh, the
Not
bump
even
stock.
just walking back. Just be like, well, if it's not popular, then think about why you proposed it, and then, because you know, there are some like, I mean, fucking look at the tariffs, for example, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Here we are, fucking, 3 months into the presidency,
Mm-hmm.
and did you see that thing with I think it was either, I'm not sure if it was MSNBC or NBC or some other fucking left wing thing, or ABC, right? But they pulled up like a bunch of Trump supporters who, to ask them like, oh, are you guys regretting the fact that you voted for him because of the tariffs? And then like there were so many of them, boomers, right? People who are like in their 60s and shit, yeah, who said, oh, actually, no, I don't care that my 401k is actually dipping. Like, I think it's a correction. Like, I want him to keep going. Like,
Yep.
I would take a hit to my personal wealth and my personal well-being in order to make sure that the country survives. And it's like, well, we need more of that. Like, that's literally the exact opposite of what the fucking boomers in Canada did.
Yeah, well, and the boomer
Right.
meme here in the United States has always been the boomers fucked over every generation that came after them because they wanted life to be on easy mode for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I mean, that's still mostly true. Like, it's not. But like, the fact is that they have boomers who were Trump voters who bucked the trend basically.
And that's a common thing I'm seeing on X is you'll have shit libs who will post that Trump did something and some kind of negative outcome, like some kind of what they would perceive to be a negative outcome. Like, are you happy? Is this what you voted for? And then if you look in the replies, it's just a chorus of, yes, this is exactly what I voted for.
Yeah. Yep.
People still like every time there's a video of somebody being like deported and they're being handcuffed and taken away by ICE and they're crying. It's like, is this what you voted for, MAGAs? Yes. This is what I voted
quite
for.
literally. Yep.
This exact thing. You showing me videos of crying Hispanics as they're being drugged out of the country. Yes, that is what I voted for.
Yes. Yep.
Big fat
Like,
tranny.
are you fucking serious right now?
Big fat tranny drug dealing fucking El Salvadorians being deported while sobbing, ugly crying as they're being cuffed and taken away. 100% that's what I voted for.
100%. Yep. Be like,
oh,
dude,
did you see how
like,
much the stock market?
Puppy. Be like, puppy, fucking stop. I can only get so erect. Like,
I can only get so erect. Well, the same thing. It's like I remember, whenever the tariffs came in and the stock market took a dip, is like, is this what you voted for? Yes.
Like I have no fucking like literally none. I have nothing. No fucking interest. I have no skin in that game, right?
Uh-huh.
So like literally I don't care.
Well, here's the
Right?
thing.
Like
They said that like, oh, these Trump tariffs are going to send us spiraling into a worse recession than anything that happened under Obama or Biden or any of that stuff. And it's just like we're going to have a Black Monday. The stock market's going to completely crater. And then Monday came, and there was no Black Monday. Stock prices are already starting to recover. Like,
and it's like you know that chart, right? That they keep fucking thing.
yeah,
Where it shows like, oh, over the past few months, and then you expand it out to 2021, and it's like, oh, don't panic, they're showing you here, which is like, fucking all the way up here, and then under Biden, where it's like fucking half the value.
yeah, I know. It's
Cratered,
ridiculous.
and it's just like, bro, shut the fuck up.
Yes, no.
Shut the fuck up.
And there's a reason why Trump's approval rating, every time it gets polled, shows it's higher than it's ever been and increasing because people are getting what they voted for. It's like, and the media is trying so hard to gaslight you into thinking, that Trump is fucking everything up. But it's just like, no. The only people who are seriously hurt by the tariffs are like millionaires and billionaires. By the way, price of eggs has gone down. Just saying. Just saying.
Well,
like
I know. That's why they stopped fucking talking about it.
I know. It's so good. It's so good. I saw fucking eggs were on sale for $2 a dozen, and considering that eggs were over $3 a dozen at one point, it was like, okay, nature is healing.
Mm.
God, I saw this meme probably last year, and I thought this was hilarious. This isn't a direct result of Trump, but it's still kind of a similar thing, and I thought it was funny. A Pizza Hut that had been closed down and sold, or had been closed down, and the commercial property had been put on the market to be bought.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It was bought by Pizza Hut by a new franchise and is being remodeled, and they're going to reopen as another Pizza Hut. It's and
it's like no, and the thing is like the Pizza Hut is also like in that old style.
Yeah,
with the iconic like roof and everything.
Yep, and it's just like
it's
nature.
Like,
nature is healing.
Yeah, nature is healing. Okay.
But so let's finish this up, and then and then the title story of this week is up next.
This whole $600 billion lie was never challenged by the Liberals. Now that's just one example. There are many. It's not unlike my fight over the secret agenda of the Uluru Statement that was The Voice. I mean, it was a hardcore 26-page document of demands. It wasn't a small one-page invitation that the PM tried to claim. Now that too was nowhere until I exposed it, you ran with it, you voted against it, and we turned the Voice campaign around. In the end, it comes down to this, and you've heard me say it time and time again. You will lose 100% of the fights you are not in. You will lose 100% of the fights you are not in. This is exactly what happened on Saturday night. The Liberals were not in the fight in any sense. Not in the policy work, not in the negative campaigning, the rapid rebuttal of Labor lies, not in the picture value day to day, not in message simplicity, not in the way they put their key players like Jacinta Price and Andrew Hastie in the freezer. Now, why? We'll never know. To beat a first-term government, you have to go hard, you have to go early, and you must keep the contest simple. When Abbott almost toppled Gillard in 2010 after just 8 months in the job, he didn't have 3 years that the coalition had. He did it by creating a contest with Labor. He did not let Labor frame the contest, he framed it. And as he fought every day, he fought as if his political life depended on it because he knew it did. He knew that if he didn't take Labor down, Turnbull was ready to come back at him. And even when Abbott eventually won government in a landslide, Turnbull undermined him anyway. And that's something that dozens of people have said to me over the weekend, that the start of the Liberal Party slide into trouble started when we junked what we stood for and broke the hearts of so many of our base, moving from Abbott to Turnbull. So where to now? The Liberals must have a review, and it must do more than gather dust on the shelf like the last one. They must regroup and start doing the work from day one, not think that Labor will Billy Abbott's way out of office. They must work out who they are, what they stand for, and who they represent. Now, the case in point here is the National Party. They have weathered almost all of the hits in recent years where the Liberals have not. Voters know and understand what the National Party stands for. Yes, their demographics have stayed more stable than the Libs, but when you buy their box off the shelf, you take it home and you open it, you get what you bought. Not so the Liberals, who've been all over the shop since the carpetbagger Turnbull upended the party, broke the heart of the base, and then was punted for his failures. To my mind, the best summation of what the Liberal Party stands for is still that of Menzies and his plea that the Liberal Party must represent the forgotten middle class of Australia, not those in the boardrooms.
Can we pause here for a second?
Yep.
By the way, just because it's because he was raised right, it's kind of relevant. But Tony Abbott, when he got elected, I'm just gonna say this, but I'm kind of proud that he got when he got elected. I was very proud because the man is Catholic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he entered the seminary,
Yep.
but obviously didn't finish, like didn't become a priest.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm just sitting there, like he was a Catholic and he got fucking kicked out because he was too based, basically, by his own party, by the way, no less. Like this is fucked, right?
Maybe this is what Australia and the UK and even Canada needs. They don't need you don't need a politician. You need a guy who's actively not a politician to basically come into one of your established political parties and take it over and reshape it in his image.
But as I was saying, like you remember how I mentioned Clive Palmer earlier?
Yeah.
I think that's his mistake, is that he keeps trying to run as an outsider. Like he keeps coming up with these new political parties and shit
Yeah.
instead of taking over the Liberals. But then again, I think the problem is that obviously I'm a novice when it comes to like internal party politics, but I'm pretty sure that the Liberals don't want him. Like the party establishment keeps kicking him out.
That's probably the problem, yeah.
And unfortunately, he's just not as charismatic as the God Emperor to pull off what he did.
Yeah, no, you definitely would need a Trumpian figure, some kind of Australian super celebrity who is just incredibly based, who then just shows up to the National Party or the Liberal Party and just says, I'm taking over. This is my party now.
Yeah. No, whips out his big orange cock. He goes, either you suck it or you leave it,
And I'm
There's
not...
no alternative. You either suck it or you're no longer a part of this party.
Yeah, like I don't know like enough about Australian celebrity culture to know if you have any like super base celebrities who have that kind of like broad appeal.
We don't.
That's unfortunate.
Like, as I said, Clive Palmer is probably the closest one we have to Trump, but he doesn't have Trump's charisma. He has the money. He's definitely got the wealth. He's definitely got like the self-debasing humor that Trump does. Because like the thing about him is that Clive Palmer is pretty fat. Like if you look him up, he's a planet, bro. He has his own gravitational pull, right? And do you know what Tim Tams are?
Yeah, I've heard of him. You've told me about him.
Okay, yeah. The joke is that his blood runs like his blood is just melted Tim Tams.
Yeah, this is one big fat fuck.
Yep. Yeah, so like the man runs on like a daily IV of Tim Tams, like that's the joke. But he fucking leans into that, which I find endearing. But it's not electable material, right?
No, probably not. Probably not. Yeah, no, yeah, but
like he could. I'm sure he's tried to take over the Liberal Party, but yeah, he doesn't have the name recognition or the name or the charisma to get people to like him enough for him to just brute force his way in the way that Trump did.
Do you have any base celebrities, actors, reality TV personalities, base news anchors, whoever, who are charismatic?
Are actively interested in Australian politics? No.
Yeah,
like the two base like Australian actors I can think off the top of my head are Mel Gibson and Hugh Jackman. But they don't really go into politics.
I was going to say, Mel Gibson is... I mean, Mel Gibson is technically Australian, but he's an American celebrity, you know what I mean? Like, I know he's...
No, he was...
He's both. I know he's both. I'm not saying he's not, but I mean, like, have you ever heard Mel Gibson talk? He doesn't sound Australian at all anymore. His accent is completely gone. Like...
Yep. No, I know. But, like, the thing that really catapulted him to fame was Gallipoli. So, that's one of the most lauded pieces of Australian culture, basically.
Well, I mean, if Mel came back to Australia, even with his like fully Americanized accent, the fact that he,
no, I don't think he's going to win either way.
He wouldn't be able to make a run at it.
No.
Mel Gibson couldn't come back and make Australia great again?
No, because you're right. He's too American. Like even Australians think of him as that.
Well, yeah, I
But
mean,
that's what I mean. Like the two people off the top of my head, because Hugh Jackman, like he doesn't comment much on politics, but
yeah, no, Hugh Jackman's a very
like
apolitical guy, which is probably a good thing.
yeah, but like from what little that he has of like his own views and shit, like yeah, he seems to be our guy, but yeah, he's quite
13
apolitical.
13 suggested Russell Crowe. It's like, does Russell Crowe talk about politics often? He says Russell Crowe is a good.
Not, I don't know. Like Russell Crowe is definitely a good one from Australia, but well, no, technically, I'm pretty sure Russell Crowe is fucking New Zealander though.
Let's look that up. Yeah, no, he's from New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's known. I think he gets similar accents, but also because he's probably did a lot of Australian, probably did a lot of like Australian movies or something. But yeah, he's from New Zealand, so never mind. Russell Crowe does not fit the bill. He probably does own property in Australia. 13. I mean, I'm sure he does.
I mean, I'm not. I don't doubt that because everyone who makes it in New Zealand moves to Australia. Okay, let's just put it that way. Like New Zealand is such a. Not only is it kind of cut, considering like what happened with Jacinta Ardern and shit, right? But it's also way too small. Like New Zealand has less people than fucking Israel.
Oh, and Mel Gibson was born in the United States. He grew up in Australia.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
Do you guys have a thing in Australia where, you have to be born in country before you can become prime minister?
No, not really. But the problem is that there has been a lot of controversy with people having dual citizenship, because a lot of our politicians were either had dual Australian and British or Australian and New Zealand citizenship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that.
Oh, but you don't have a dual Australian Israeli citizenship problem, do you?
Not really, no.
Well, and that's a meme, because if you actually look into it, most of our politicians.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, most of our politicians. No, but I mean that's a common refrain. Is that like, oh, do you have dual citizenship? Why are you in Congress? I'm like, dude, you're talking about like less than 1% of congressmen who Jewish congressmen that have Israeli citizenship. Like, fuck off. Like, it's not that big a deal. Like, would I prefer non-dual? If you were to like gun to my head, do I think that dual citizens should be allowed to serve in one of the 3 highest offices in the land? Probably not.
No. If it was up to me, I wouldn't let you. Like, if it was up to me, I wouldn't give myself a chance to run for prime minister.
Yes.
Like, if I wasn't born here, to Australian parents, I shouldn't have the chance to fucking run. That's my stance.
No,
I'm gonna die on that hill if I have to. Like, let's say I get elected, right? And like one of my things is gonna be like, unless you're born in Australia to Australian parents, no, you can't run for office.
You can. Well, so hold on. Like, not run for office. Period. Like, could you stand for a MP seat, but you can't stand for PM? Or you can't.
No. Because if you stand for an MP seat, you have the chance of becoming PM.
Well, I'm just saying, but they could conceivably kind of like put a thing in place where it's like, well, no, like you can become a minister of parliament, but you're not allowed to become prime minister if you're not born in the country. Like, I could see something.
No, it doesn't work like that, because the moment you become a member of parliament, you are technically eligible to become PM.
No,
but the only thing that separates member of parliament from PM is that the PM is also the leader of the party.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got 40 more seconds of this shit. So
those in the everyday suburbs, running a small business or working hard to raise their families, that want government to be big enough to do all the things they can't do for themselves, but as small as possible. That believe in the individual over the state, that want to be able to keep as much as they can of what they earn, and are distrustful of government trying to tell them how to live their lives or curtail their freedom. Now, the job of an opposition is not to be a weak echo of a bad government, as Tony Abbott used to say. It's to be strong and decisive and a clear alternative. Now, for Australia's sake, That is what we must hope for now.
Wood, by the way. Peta Credlin. Hot. She got that mommy energy. I'm down for it. I don't know. Some super popular like person from like Sky News or something should probably, take a run at it. I don't know. Figure it out.
Well, I don't know. Problem is, like, most of Sky News commentary is like foreign born. So, like, one of their most famous commentators is fucking Rita Panahi. And she's Indian. So,
Hey, Peta Credlin. She's actually Australian born. Just how popular is she? I'm just saying. Maybe you don't need a politician. Maybe you need someone who actively is not a politician, who's just going to take over one of your parties and go, it's mine now. Is a media personality, former political advisor who served as chief of staff for Tony Abbott during his term as Prime Minister of Australia from 2013 to 2015. Oh. Yep, she comes up. Rita Panahi popped up here when I looked up Peta Credlin. Yeah, no.
Yeah, see what I mean, though? Right? Like, yeah. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's going to be impossible for any woman to lead Australia for the next generation. Impossible.
Why do you say that?
Because Julia Gillard fucked that up, something royal.
Oh, I don't even know who that is. Oh, it turns out Rita Panahi was born in the U.S.
We'll see. And she would be excluded from my fucking terms.
Yeah, she was born in Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Oh, in Bill Clinton's state.
Yep. The family returned to Iran during her infancy, living on the coast and moving to Tehran.
She's Iranian?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. She lived in Tehran in 1979, and I'm not even going to look up when they relocated to Australia because it doesn't matter. But, yep. So, finally, we have an American Pope.
Bemus Papam, and he's American.
Yep, and so shout out to the Associated Press, Robert Prevost.
Okay, wait, before we go on, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got an American Pope before GTA 6.
Yeah, yep. We got an American Pope before Half-Life 3.
That's fucked. Like, I hate how the culture basically, like, well, I mean, I hate and like it at the same time, but one of our, like, cultural landmarks now is how fucking slow a company is coming out with a game.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, bro. Are you serious?
Yeah, it took the Papal Enclave, like, no time to elect him either. Seriously, there was, like, 2 days. 2 days of voting, and it's just like, we got him. We got our guy, but apparently he was like one of Francis's favorite,
Yeah.
Which has got a lot of people like nervous. Is Pope Leo just going to be more Francis? Are we just going to have more progressive popery? You know what I mean? We shall see. He's already, as far as from what I'm seeing, he's already not starting out great. Catholic cardinals broke with tradition Thursday and elected the first U.S. Pope, making Chicago-born missionary Robert Prevost the 267th Pope, or Pontiff, to lead the Catholic Church in a moment of global turmoil and conflict. Prevost, a 69-year-old member of the Augustinian religious order who spent his career ministering in Peru, took the name Leo XIV. In his first words as Pope Francis' successor, uttered from the Loggia of St. Peter's Basilica, Leo said, "Peace be with you. and emphasize the message of a disarmed and disarming peace, dialogue, and missionary evangelization. He wore the traditional red cape and trappings of the papacy, a cape that Francis had eschewed on his election in 2013, suggesting a return to some degree of tradition after Francis's unorthodox pontificate. But in naming himself Leo, the new pope could also have wanted to signal a strong line of continuity. Brother Leo was a 13th century friar who was a great companion of St. Francis of Assisi, I guess how you'd say that.
Yeah, St. Francis of Assisi. Yep.
The late pope's namesake. I will feel more better about this pope if he gets rid of the wooden chair and brings back the golden throne. You know, that's just a small thing that could be done. Like, let's bring back the golden throne.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't really have much of a strong feeling about that issue, one way or the other.
No, I know. It's just it's a visual thing, is what I mean.
It's a nitpick. Yeah.
And like I said, it's a visual thing. It's like, okay, the pontiff is sitting on a ornate, but still just kind of like a regular wooden chair. Like, hey, whatever. Quote, together, we must try to find out how to be a missionary church, a church that builds bridges, establishes dialogue, that's always open to receive, like on this piazza with open arms, to be able to receive everybody that needs our charity, our presence, dialogue, and love, Leo said in near perfect Italian. Prevost had been a leading candidate for the papacy, but there had long been a taboo against the U.S. Pope, given the geopolitical power the country already wields. But Prevost was seemingly eligible because he's also a Peruvian citizen and had lived for years in Peru, first as a missionary, then as a bishop, and cardinals may have thought the 21st century world order could handle a U.S.-born pope. Yeah, it's about fucking time. Francis, history's first Latin American pope, clearly had his eyes on Prevost and in many ways saw him as his heir apparent. He sent Prevost to take over a complicated diocese in Peru, then brought him to the Vatican in 2023 to serve as the powerful head of the office that vets bishop nominations from around the world, one of the most important jobs in the Catholic Church. Earlier this year, Francis elevated Prevost into the senior ranks of cardinals, giving him prominence going into the conclave that few other cardinals had. Since arriving in Rome, Prevost had kept a low public profile, but was well known to the men who count. Significantly, he presided over one of the most revolutionary reforms Francis made when he added 3 women to the voting block that decides which bishop nominations to forward to the Pope. So, yeah. It's one of the things that kind of are making people wonder if, since he was, basically chosen by Francis for this job, and he was directly involved in some of Francis's more progressive changes to church
Stunts.
Yep. That maybe we're just going to get more Francis. This is just going to be, another decade and a half or however long. He could potentially serve 20 years, depending upon his health.
Because he's quite young. He's like 69. So...
I believe he's a little older than that. I think he's 69. Yeah, he could potentially serve for 20 years.
Well, that's the thing. Like I keep saying people like just doomsay, and I'm just sitting here going like, dude, like we won't see any real effects of his papacy until like 2-3 years from now. The best you can do is just pray. That's it. We'll see.
Yeah, but should nuns be allowed to vote on who becomes pontiff?
I mean, I don't think so, but as I said, like, we'll see. He was not my pick. Like, just so we're clear.
Were you one of the guys who were pulling for one of the based African bishops? Like,
not for Sarah, but I wanted the Pizza Bala.
I am unfamiliar with that person, but
just by his name, we should be for him as well, because his name is literally Pizza Bullet. So
I love pizza and bullets.
Yes, but joking aside, yeah, like he's because he's I think he resides over I think it's called the Patriarchate of Jerusalem. the man is about as base as they come to. So.
Oh God,
yeah.
I'm sure. Jesus Christ, the anti-Jew wing of the Catholic Church would have hated that.
It's not just anti-Jew wing, by the way.
Well, no, but
He's in Jerusalem.
well, that's what I mean. Oh yeah, I'm sure the fucking yeah. Okay,
Hmm.
but that's what I mean because like if he's the Bishop of Jerusalem, then people would automatically assume that he's Jewish compromised.
No. It's not that he's Jewish compromised. It's the opposite. He's a bit too hard on the other residents of Jerusalem, shall we say?
The Jews or the Muslims? Which one is he harsher on? Like, cause I'm
The
not
Muslims.
okay.
The Muslims. He's not a big fan of the Muslims. Like, yeah.
So based. That also would have made him people think he's Jew compromised because he's just like, how come you won't criticize the Jews? Like, what a common refrain I see on X is that, the Catholic Church's official stance used to be that the Jews collectively are to blame for Christ's crucifixion. Like, but that it wasn't until more recent popes that's changed. But I don't know. I don't know church history well enough to know, like, A, if that was ever truly the case, and B, when that changed. Like, because I tend to think the collective, blame is probably just generally speaking, not a good thing, especially in the context you think about it. Like,
Yeah.
the Pharisees, yes, wanted Christ crucified, and they got their wish. But like, why is every Jew on earth responsible for that? Like, nobody can really make that case to me. Like, nobody's really tried, to be fair. But like, why is it that like even contemporary Jews at the time, like random Jew who was living in Samaria, like, who probably maybe heard that there's this like radical rabbi who's walking around talking about treating the Gentiles as equals, like, got crucified for it, like, but he had no skin in that game. He wasn't there. He didn't see it. He had no part of it. Probably, like, why is he to blame? You know what I mean?
Well, there's also that, but there's also the contradiction you will find where, like, the original apostles were Jews too. So
Yeah, sure. And Christ himself was a rabbi of Judaism and practiced Judaism because obviously Christianity didn't exist till after he died. So it was just like, but then you'll have people say, it's like, well, there's a difference between original Judaism that Christ practiced and Talmudic Judaism, which is what they practice today. And it's just like, okay, whatever.
I mean, they're not exactly wrong, but like the Talmud is like a commentary.
Well, yeah, Judaism has changed over the intervening 2,000 years, sure, but Christianity in its current form is also a lot different than it was at its founding. So, unless you ask the Orthos,
no.
According to the Orthos, they have they practice the original form of Christianity, and
well, that's what the Catholics say too.
I was gonna say their version of it has never changed at all, ever. Period.
Yeah, doctrinally, that's what the Catholics claim as well. But then again, all of them claim that. Like, I've seen fucking Baptists say, "Oh, we practice the church as it was originally preached." It's like, no, it's not.
Well,
no,
I mean,
you don't.
No, because like your version of Christianity sprung off of Lutheranism, which is only 600 years old. Like,
no, they claim that it's they base it off like Jesus' baptism by Saint John the Baptist.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, but that's not when the church started. The church technically started during the Last Supper. You useless fuck.
Yeah, no, yeah. I understand. Yeah. Yep. And then other like, and then there's also like he yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, as I said, like, let's wait a couple of years before making any judgments.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, we'll see.
Prevost's brother, John Prevost, described his brother as being very concerned for the poor and those who don't have a voice, saying he expects him to be a second Pope Francis. Ugh. He's not going to be real far left, and he's not going to be real far right, he added, kind of right down the middle. That does not fill me with confidence. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Shut up, AP. I'm not going to donate to you.
No, it doesn't fill me with confidence either, but as I said, like, what else can you do? the man is nearly double our age.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll see what happens. Like you say.
Mhm.
Now, like I said, it doesn't fill me with confidence that he also shared he shared this out before. He shared this on X. Pope Leo did, but I think it was before he actually got elected. But still, he shared out this NCR op-ed that JD Vance is wrong. Jesus does not ask us to rank our love for others. So again, not filling me with confidence. Also, this was written by a woman. Just saying. Shocking. A woman doesn't like JD Vance.
Yeah, but like the context in that is that like it's thought provoking. Like I don't think he shared it, but he didn't really say much on like what the commentary on it is. Right? Like he didn't say, "Oh, I agree with this" or whatever. You know?
Yeah. No, but generally speaking, though, whenever like if you signal boost an op-ed, that doesn't necessarily mean. But like if you signal boost it without commentary, that kind of gives the impression that you at least tacitly agree with it. Where if he had
Yeah.
shared it out,
What's the Latin maxim again? Silence construes consent.
well, yeah. Whereas if he shared it out and said, "Well, listen, what's the Latin name for the kind of philosophy that JD Vance was talking about? Ranking,
Ordo amoris.
yeah, like if he could say, well, I think JD Vance, he could have said, it's like, well, she's not like, I think, whatever. He could have offered some commentary, but
Well, in one counterpoint that he might be based, like apparently the guy never voted before the 2024 elections.
Provost or
Yeah.
Leo.
Yep. Apparently,
So,
and when he registered to vote for the God Emperor. So yeah, there's that.
oh well, fair enough. The internet has been buzzing since Vice President J.D. Vance said during a Fox News interview on January 29th that there's a Christian concept that you love your family, then you love your neighbor, then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens. Then after that, prioritize the rest of the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. You want to know what's funny? I didn't think about this before.
Again, the heat map is undefeated.
Well, here's the funny thing. I didn't think about this before. But you remember, well, I'm sure you remember this because you're the one that told me this whole thing, but like about, Islam just being a bad fan fiction of Christianity.
Well, yeah, that's my conclusion since I was like 14.
Yeah, well, this is essentially what he's talking about. What JD Vance here is talking about is essentially like the opposite of their whole thing. Me against my brother and I against the family, our family against the village, our village against the tribe, our tribe against the nation. It's the prioritizing family and then community and then all these things, but in a reverse connotation instead of with love.
In an antagonistic way.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. It's like, no, Abraham was going to sacrifice Ishmael, not Isaac. That's how it actually happened. No, St. Peter is not buried in Rome. He's buried in I can't even remember where. He's buried somewhere in Gaza or some shit. I covered it last year. I don't know if I covered it on the show or where I talked about it at. I think I might have talked about it on X. But there was a mosque got blown up because it was being used as like an arms depot or a staging post or something like that. But a mosque got blown up, and a bunch of the Palestinian, a lot of the Muslims tried to flip it and say that, like, oh, Christians, they're blowing up Christian holy sites. Look what they're doing. They blew up this church dedicated to St. Peter. It's like, no, it's a mosque that they claim is the true burial site of Peter.
Yeah, but then again, the Muslims also claim that Jesus was never crucified, so they can take their opinions and shove it.
But yeah, and exactly that's my point, is that they take all these things. It's like, no, St. Peter's totally a real person, but he was a Muslim, and he's buried here in Palestine. He's not buried in Rome, where he was crucified, or not crucified, but where he was crucified. I can never remember if he's crucified or if he was burned alive.
He was crucified. He was the famous one that got crucified upside down.
Yes.
Which is also why when people say that upside down crosses are like a mark of the demon, it's like, no, it's not. It's the mark of Saint Peter. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, I mean, I kind of get it because it's supposed to be an inversion of like it's supposed to be an inversion of
No, but like the way that Saint Peter died is also like it's a hallmark of his piety,
yes.
basically. Like, like the entire story is that he asked to be crucified upside down because um, he doesn't deserve the same dignity of dying the same way as our Savior, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, he also, at least from my reading of Peter, is that like while Christ did forgive him, because Peter was the one who was like who denied him 3 times, but and then asked for forgiveness, and Christ not only forgave him but also made him, head of the church. Like, he was the rock because he realized he was pious enough to he failed and then recognized his failure and immediately sought forgiveness. But he also seemed to like never truly forgive himself, at least in some way. I don't deserve to be crucified the same way as my Savior, not just because he's Christ and I'm not, but also because he failed him, like at least in some degree.
I don't know about that, but yeah, like I guess you could make that inference. I'm not sure, but yeah.
The online debate has been split on whether this sentiment is biblical or not. Many Christians have rushed to defend the hierarchy, citing 1 Timothy 58 or 5. Jesus Christ, the colon threw me off. 1 Timothy 5:8. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives and especially for their own household has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. There's no doubt that Scripture speaks to our responsibility for family and community, but when it comes to something being biblical, we have to be careful. Nearly anything can be found in Scripture if you're looking for it. Stories of war, oppression, miracles, and love. All written by people grappling with what it meant to be faithful. The Bible is not a rigid manual, but a living testimony of humans wrestling with the divine. This, too, is the context for...
This is from the woman, though, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so, yeah, no. Where's the soundboard again?
Shut up! Silly woman.
Silly woman.
You could trigger it if you hadn't muted it, you piece of shit.
Fuck you.
I mean, I can trigger it. Fucking, where is it? I didn't delete it, did I? There it is.
Shut up, silly woman.
I mean, you didn't hear that because you muted the soundboard like a bitch. Shut up, silly woman. Again, we're not going to read this whole thing, but
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna pull an Arnold in Terminator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you, asshole.
Fuck you, asshole. This too is the context for 1 Timothy. The early church was learning what it meant to embody community in a world within an empire defined by survival. Widows, among the most vulnerable, became a litmus test for whether the church's love could be more than abstract words. But there was tension. Some families in Ephesus, I don't know how to pronounce that, were neglecting their responsibility to care for their own, assuming the church would shoulder it all. Paul reminds them, love starts close. It moves first onward those in front of us, ensuring widows are not abandoned while preserving the church's resources for those truly without support. But make no mistake, this isn't about love confined to bloodlines or geographic boundaries. It's about love rooted in responsibility, expanding outward, and it was subversive even then. Others have pointed to Acts 1:8, where Jesus commands his followers to be his witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. Some have used this as a blueprint for a supposed hierarchy of love, that our obligation starts with family, but this wasn't a command for love in 21st century America. It was a geographical directive for a small group of followers in the ancient world. To them, the ends of the earth likely meant Rome, the seat of the empire. Like, she's just kind of waffling. What the fuck is she saying? Because she keeps, like, offering, like, confirmation that, like, yeah, this is biblical. You're supposed to,
Yeah, so the article, yeah, like that's why I said like the
but
Pope Leo.
The title says JD Vance is wrong.
Yeah, but you know what happens with people who only read the headlines.
The point wasn't about setting limits on love. It was about breaking them down, taking the gospel beyond familiar spaces and into contested ones. If anything, Those of us in the United States are the ends of the earth, unimaginable to the earliest Christians, and yet the gospel has already reached us. The real question is not whether love begins at home, it's what we do with it. How far are we willing to change ourselves and the world around us? Vance's argument echoes a medieval concept known as Ordo Amoris. Yep, there it is. The order of charity, often attributed to St. Thomas Aquinas. The idea that love must be ranked, that a person rightly prioritizes their affections with family on top. In some ways, it sounds practical, even reasonable. Love is not meant to be an abstraction floating in ideals without real-world engagement. But the problem with this hierarchy is that it feeds the myth that some
Here we
people
go.
are
Here we
more...
go with the fucking
Yeah.
emotional blackmailing. You see the photo that she uses. Fucking
Oh, yeah. Here,
slut,
migrants, dog.
slut.
Don't you feel bad for these migrants? How dare you?
Shut the fuck up, you
How
slut.
how dare you feel bad? How dare you prioritize the love, like to love your own family, your flesh and blood, over strangers from a foreign land who you have no connection to outside of the fact that you might both be Christians?
And then keep in mind, a migrant is greeted by a family member. Oh, as if, like maybe they should have been looking after their own to begin with. Yeah, fucking useless slut.
Let's see. Is this a wood? Oh, well, I can't view author's profile. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I probably would. That's a good headshot.
And of course, she's fucking Cuban.
Yeah, that you know.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, woman. Go back to fucking Castro land then. You don't like it.
Well, she might
Fuck
be
off.
American-born Cuban. You never know.
I don't give a fucking shit. If she starts talking for the fucking migrant, she can go the fuck back.
But people with this hierarchy, but the problem with this hierarchy is that it feeds the myth that some people are more deserving of our care than others. It's a framework that makes sense in a world governed by scarcity and fear, where protection comes at the expense of others. But Jesus never spoke of love as something to be rationed. He spoke of love as abundance, a table where there is enough for everyone. Colonial ideology has conditioned us to think in binaries and hierarchies: who is in and who is out, who is first and who is last. We struggle to fathom. I love how the idea is colonial ideology made us think that before Europeans started colonizing the world, everybody was all just together and like loving this huge hippie colony, like this big hippie colony, and everybody loved everybody. That was literally never how human beings have ever worked, ever in history. We have always been tribal, and your tribe starts in your home with your family, the people who you share blood with. It's how it's always been. It's how it's always going to be.
Yep. Because the people who advocate otherwise end up not continuing their bloodline. So,
Yep. The outgroup preference, where did I leave off at? We struggle to fathom a love that is not ranked, that does not support people, that does not sort people into categories of worthiness. But Jesus seemed to be inviting us into a different world altogether, one where love moves freely and without hierarchy, breaking down the borders we've been taught to build. When Jesus was asked, "Who is my neighbor?" he responded with a story. A man is beaten and left for dead. The religious leaders pass by, their robes untouched by the mess of it all. The Samaritan, a stranger, a foreigner, an enemy, stops. He is the one who shows love. The Good Samaritan. Ah, that story. Jesus' point was not about prioritizing family first and neighbor second. It was about demolishing the categories that keep us from seeing each other as worthy of love in the first place. Love for family and love for neighbor are not in competition. They are part of the same holy calling. Jesus goes even further. Quote, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that?" When Jesus speaks of family, it's not defined by blood or borders, but by kinship in God. When someone tells him his mother and brothers are waiting to speak to him, Jesus points to his disciples. "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother." Jesus redefines family not as a fortress to be guarded, but as an ever-widening circle, and the call to love is no different. So,
Yeah, well, you kind of defeated yourself in that argument, you retarded bitch. It's an ever widening circle, which means it fucking starts somewhere. You
yeah,
useless slut.
I was just about to say that, and not only that, but like, or no, that's literally what I was going to say. That like it starts somewhere. And again, JD Vance doesn't even say you shouldn't love everybody. He just says that you do have to prioritize where your efforts are going to go. Family first, and then you move out from there.
Yeah, because unfortunately, we're not in heaven, and we can only we can only like ration our resources to an extent, right?
Yep. No, I won't. No, I won't deny the complexities of immigration, but framing love as something calculated and conditional misses the heart of it entirely. Of course, we do not neglect our families. Of course, we invest in our local communities. In fact, this is how we enact the deepest change: by voting, by fighting, by pushing back against systems in place that refuse to protect the most vulnerable among us. But love cannot stop there. The love Jesus speaks of is not about calculation or a choice between our families or neighbors. It is not a finite resource to ration out, but a river that flows wild and without restraint. The empire's vision of love is built on scarcity, but the kingdom of God is built on abundance. If we find ourselves asking, who is my neighbor, are we already missing the point? The better question is, how do I love without limits? Which again, it seems to be she took the worst possible interpretation of what JD Vance said.
The broadest possible fucking thing, and then went, shut up, shut the fuck up.
Now look, there's a reason why, like here's a great example of why we kind of need to prioritize our own first, because you don't know what outsiders are going to do. You don't know what they're capable of. Even if you share faith and you have a lot of cultural overlap, you don't know. Maybe they're going to do dumb shit.
Well, like like some of the cartels deal specifically in like religious icons. Doesn't mean that they're not fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah, many cartel members are practicing Catholics. Most of them are, in fact. Just saying.
Yep.
But
Well,
yeah,
some of the most evil ones are fucking actual satanic cults. But yeah.
Well, yeah, sure, yeah. But anyway, yeah, Mexican president declines Trump's offer of U.S. troops to help fight drug cartels. I just want to make something clear, Claudia Jubom. We're going to take on the cartels whether you give us permission or not. Or at least I really hope Trump does. I really hope that Trump actually just says, okay, fine, I tried to play nice, and she didn't want to play ball, so fuck her. What's she going to do about it? Go cry to the UN? Send the Mexican army to stop me? Ha! The Mexican army can't even fight the cartels. But they're going to fight the U.S. army. And besides, we don't put boots on the ground anymore. But we know where all the drug manufacturing rings are. We know where all the fucking well, not all, but we know where most of the tunnel entrances and exits are, and we know where most of their houses are. Drone strikes galore. But anyway, yeah, Claudia Sheinbaum rejects U.S. military assistance amid cartel crisis.
Yeah, it really makes you think why that is.
Yeah, because she's fucking compromised. I believe that wholeheartedly. She is compromised. She is taking cartel dollars. I guarantee it. Mexican president, she has been so protective of them. It is ridiculous. There's this part of me that kind of understands it. It's like, well, no, this is a Mexican problem. It needs to be dealt with like by Mexicans. But the problem is that you're not dealing with it, A, and B, it's not just a Mexican problem. The cartels are an American problem. They cross our borders constantly. They flood our country with drugs.
They're an international problem, actually.
Yeah, I know. They're everywhere. They're not just in America and Mexico.
Because if the cartels are selling... No, it's not just that. But, like, the cartels are selling fentanyl.
Yeah, Chinese fentanyl, yeah.
Yeah, and most of the world's production is in China, so, Yeah. It doesn't take fucking much to see the connection there, does it?
Yep. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum publicly confirmed she rejected U.S. military assistance for President Donald Trump, who's looking to help the country fight drug trafficking and violent cartels. Responding to a Wall Street Journal report Friday that detailed the offer, Sheinbaum confirmed it's true. So at some point, Claudia Sheinbaum had a talk with Trump. They talked about the U.S. military helping deal with cartels, and she said no. Trump reportedly called Sheinbaum and asked, how can we help you fight drug trafficking? She told Trump the country will never accept the presence of the U.S. Army in its territory. No, President Trump, our territory is inalienable. Sovereignty is inalienable, Sheinbaum said. We can collaborate, we can work together, but with you and your territory and us and ours. We can share information, but we will never accept the presence of the U.S. Army in our territory. Why not? We're not invading. It wouldn't be an invasion, wouldn't be an occupying force. We wouldn't even have to go further south of our own border than a couple 100 miles. So what's the problem? We're not going to occupy Mexico City. We're offering to do the work for you. Why would she reject that? And she's not going to sit here and tell me that this is like Mexican nationalism that's got her. No, it doesn't come off as Mexican nationalism at all. She's trying to sue American gun manufacturers in order to help protect the cartels.
Mm-hmm.
In a written statement to Fox News Digital Sunday, White House Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly highlighted coordinated efforts with Mexico to address border security. President Trump has worked with President Sheinbaum to advance border security collaboration with Mexico to the highest level ever, Kelly wrote. This robust cooperation and information sharing is delivering tangible results, including the removal of numerous cartel leaders to the U.S. to face justice and creating the most secure border in history. How about this, Sheinbaum? How about this? We will information share, like you said. You will give us everything you have on the cartels. We will combine that with everything that the CIA has in the cartels, because the CIA built most of them, and then we won't put any U.S. troops south of the border, but we will drone strike. Like that way, we didn't cross the border. We didn't cross the border. We just have our carrier group in the Gulf of Mexico. Oops, my bad. Our carrier group in the Gulf of America, just launching drone strikes, blow up a few compounds. Why not? Does that not that works for everybody? It should. Since taking office, Trump has continued to use CIA drones to conduct surveillance flights over the country in coordination with the Mexican government. He also formally named drug cartels foreign terrorist groups. However, Kelly said Mexico must do more to protect Americans from dangerous foreign terrorist organizations and the drugs and violence they flood into communities on both sides of the border. Quote, we will continue exploring ways to enhance our efforts across the region to dismantle these transnational criminal organizations, she wrote. We will make America safe again. The Heritage Foundation, a top conservative group, released a report in January detailing how Trump could use the military to confront the border crisis. It argued that Mexican cartels are continuing to grow, illegal immigration and narcotics smuggling have accelerated, and the U.S.-Mexico security cooperation has deteriorated. However, the report noted direct military action against cartels should be a last resort, preferring joint military action with Mexican coordination. Fox News Digital previously reported. Quote, in the appropriate context, unilateral U.S. military action may be employed to disrupt cartel activity and prompt cooperation with a resistant Mexican government, the group wrote. The foundation claimed Mexico was unlikely to change its stance when Sheinbaum was elected, despite the escalating threats from cartels. Yeah, because she's compromised. And maybe that doesn't necessarily mean, I said earlier, she's taking cartel dollars. Maybe she's not. But maybe they have someone in her family who she's afraid they're going to kill. Or maybe she's afraid they're just going to kill her. She could fear for her life or something to that effect. Or she's taking money. But either way, compromise doesn't necessarily mean willingly working with. It just means working with because of X reason. So, maybe she's not, completely cucked. Like in the sense that like she's just on the take, she's on the payroll. But no, the way she's run fucking interference for the cartels and basically done nothing to help us stop them is, does not fill me with confidence in her leadership of Mexico. But no, I am pro drone striking cartels. And it'll probably look something like this. Blammo! In case you don't know, that was the Houthis.
Is this when Luffy went from looking for the One Piece to turning into multiple pieces?
Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, this was a group of Houthis meeting out in the desert for some ritual thingy that they do. I think it's some kind of Muslim thing. I'm not entirely sure. But from everything I know on the subject, everybody that was in that circle that got blown up was a confirmed Houthi member, including Houthi leadership. There were no civilians. I mean, the U.S. The U.S. government, to their credit, generally speaking, when civilians get blown up, they have a really hard time hiding it. So if the Trump administration is just putting out this video of us blowing up Houthis, I guarantee there is, it's something that they're proud of, something they're going to hang their hat on, which tells me that this was like one of those like zero civilian casualty scenarios.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, he died like a dog.
He died like a dog. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead. He died like a dog. But yeah, no. And
that probably still ranks as like one of my top 10 like Trump moments of all time.
Oh no, it was so good. That speech was great. We sent in dogs. We sent in the dogs. Beautiful dogs. Beautiful dogs. God, and it was just, I love that we trolled him before we killed him, so we sent dogs after him first just because dogs are haram. Anyway, 13 had some commentary about the whole Claudia Scheinbaum thing. She was put there by them from the start. He's referring to the cartels. We should stop all communication and close the border for 1 year. I actually don't disagree. Yep, that's one way.
That's one way to make her fucking listen. Slut.
Yep, that's one way to make them multiply. This is after we started showing the Houthi video.
Yep.
But no, and this also wasn't a drone strike. This was actually a bomber. So, or at least I don't think this was a drone. I think this was actual like an actual like piloted bomber that did this. But yeah, no, it's now here's the thing. I am anti-Houthi. I really don't care. Like, yes, do I want us to spend 20 years in Yemen fighting the Houthis and then trying to dismantling the Yemeni government and then or Yemenis, I don't know what you would call that. It would be Yemeni or Yemenis, whatever. And then, and then as soon as we leave, the government collapses and then the Houthis just take it back over. No, I don't want to do that. But am I perfectly content with us blowing the shit out of Houthis that attack American vessels? Yes. Like, I don't want, boots on the ground and a protracted, decade-long campaign.
Self-defense, motherfucker.
Well, I mean, seriously.
What I think is that like every time a U.S. vessel gets attacked, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just wipe out like a Houthi supply base.
Proportionate response.
Yep.
So here's the thing: the Houthis pirate everybody's ships, not just Americans. Everybody's. They attack Chinese vessels, and the Chinese don't do shit about it. So you're welcome, China. But not only do they attack like merchant vessels that are traveling, that are traveling through there, but they also attack naval vessels. We'll send a naval vessel through there just to try to scare them off, and then they try to attack it. So, fuck the Houthis, blow them up. Fucking, I was watching Nuxanor the other day, and he was covering this video, this clip, and he said the Houthis went poofy.
Beautiful. Fuck it.
The Houthis are 110% cooked.
Yep.
The Houthis went poofy.
Dude, like seriously, I hope like one day the fucking I don't know, like the sixth fleet or the fifth fleet like passes through the Red Sea and these niggas try to fucking blow it up. Try to attack the sixth fleet or like dude, good luck,
And
good
also,
fucking
I'm
luck.
just saying the Houthis' official like slogan includes the line "Death to America." So they are not big fans of us.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we should go in and exterminate them. I say we just take pot shots every time we walk past.
It's like, yep. Now the libertarians will say shit like, "Why are we even trading on the Red Sea? Why are we even using the Suez Canal? Why? Well, because it's a major world trade route that every country in the world uses. Yes, the majority of our
Also,
trade.
we as the collective Western civilization built it. So shut the fuck up.
Yes, but not only, but I agree with that too. But like, even if not the majority of our trade goes through there, some of our trade still does, and we should be able to trade peacefully. Is that so much to ask? We would be more than happy to trade with every country in the region if they would stop being cunts. More than happy. But no, they constantly want to fucking fuck shit up and be dildos. So, drone strikes for everybody. Speaking of shit getting blown up, the Jeets have been fighting. But apparently,
This was one of my most awaited things to happen this year. But it seems like the God Emperor falls through again. Yeah.
somebody asked Grok to verify this, and Grok says there's no verification that he can find from either Pakistan or India on this, but I'm sure that their statements will be forthcoming. But yeah, according to Donald J. Trump, after a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I am pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations to both countries on using common sense and great intelligence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. But yeah, according to Donald Trump,
What the fuck? Thank you for your attention to this matter.
yeah, it's a very interesting way to
Bro
end
is such
things.
a fucking troll, man.
And then, well,
Like,
here's the thing: this isn't just something
dude.
that Trump said and then posted. JD Vance also posted this, so JD Vance is
Yep.
also confirming. Yes,
Yeah.
Trump was up all night talking to leaders from both sides, and it's done. They've agreed to a ceasefire. So,
But the funniest thing is like that parting line, though. It's like to me,
Yeah.
what a fucking troll, bro.
So
but you're the president of the United fucking States of America, and you think no one is gonna pay attention to you? Like, dude, people paid attention to Joe Biden, and he was dead.
Come on, man. Listen, all right. 2 scoops ice cream, not just for me, but for everybody. Okay. Listen, I got hairy legs that turn that turn blonde in the sun, and the kids, they like to get in the pool and rub my leg down and watch the hair flow back up. It's one of my
That's
favorite.
honestly one of the creepiest fucking things I've ever heard.
That speech that he did for the black people at the city pool was one of my favorite Biden moments. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And that was in like 2020, when he was still way more cognizant than he was near the end of his term. By the end of his term, he was just fucking gone.
He was
cooked.
He was
completely cooked.
Yep.
But yeah, so good news. The
guy isn't fucking. He's out in space somewhere, dude. Like,
but yeah, the fucking India-Pakistan war only lasted for a few days, and it seems to already be over, at least for the time being. Which
Beautiful.
I wasn't even going to talk about it because I don't care. The only reason why it seemed like we talked about this earlier before we started recording was the fact that like most countries in the world today, if they went to war with each other, the odds of them nuking each other is pretty low. I consider the odds of nukes being launched between India and Pakistan to be really high relative to everybody else. You know,
Everyone else, yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but Indians and Pakistanis would probably be the people to nuke the fuck out of each other.
Yeah, not wrong.
God, you remember the video of that fucking Pakistani kid talk about what he wanted to do when he grew up?
Yep.
When I grow up, I'm going to become an army and I'm going to bomb India for Pakistan.
Yep.
Oh, and then like the teacher, oh great, it is going to be an army. Like,
Jesus Christ.
Pakistan. But yeah, no, Jeets, come on, no more brother wars.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't even
Fucking
say.
hell.
I couldn't say it without laughing. It's like fuck you, you piece of shit Hindu. No, fuck you, you piece of shit Muslim. Meanwhile, it's like boys, you're both just terrible.
You know what? This is the perfect time to use that. You know the meme. You know the meme.
Which one?
Fuck you, bloody.
Oh yes, I wish I had that on the soundboard. Yes, this is literally India and Pakistan's entire history. Are you crazy? No,
Fuck you, bloody. Are you crazy? Bloody fuck you, you bloody fucking
bastard bitch! Bloody fuck you, bloody! And basically, the history of India and Pakistan rolled into a 2-minute video of bloody fuck you, bloody!
Whoever edited that moment in the debates with Nikki Haley and
Yes, and
and Vivek is
so good. Oh my god! When I saw that the first time, I died. I laughed so fucking hard. And the way they're like pointing at each other, it was like the most heated moment in the debate. And it just so happens that the two fucking Indians are the ones who have like the most shit to say to each other. It's like, please stop bringing your racial animus or your class animus to America with you guys. That would be great. Although to be completely fair, since they're both like Indian Americans, they're probably both Brahmin. Isn't that the high-ranking one, the highest up one, the Brahmin? They were the top in the Indian food chain.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but
whatever. It doesn't matter. It's Pajit nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding, Jeets. I love you guys. I actually don't have. I mean, America.
No, you don't.
America doesn't have. Well, I mean, America doesn't. I don't really care, to be fair. Yeah, but no, like America doesn't. I mean, do we have the H-1B issue and like all these people coming over in large numbers? Yes, but I mean, relative to other Western nations, to Australia and Canada in particular, we don't have nearly as big of a Indian and Pakistani immigration problem as you guys do.
Australia and Canada, dude. You mean Canada and the UK? Australia doesn't have that much of a fucking problem with Jeets here. Well, at least we don't have Jeets rioting in the streets.
No, but
they have shit happening.
Well, yeah, I didn't even bring up UK because that's like old news at this point. But I'm talking about, hasn't there been a lot of like issues going on with like, didn't Australia recently cut some kind of deal with China and India in order to make it easier for their people to emigrate to Australia for work?
No, that's not really. Not really. China, yes. India, no. Yeah, it's not really. It's a big thing because with India and Pakistan in general, because they're former Commonwealth countries, or just they're part of the Commonwealth, so it's a bit hard to really like cut deals with them. That's a bit straightforward.
Huh. Is Australia still part of the Commonwealth, or are you guys fully decoupled?
Still part of the Commonwealth, yeah.
Oh. Well, so final story of the white pills to end is Scott Bessent says that 17 out of 18 of our major trade partners are ready to come to the table and renegotiate. So the tariffs worked. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Tuesday testified to Congress that the United States is in the process of negotiating with 17 of its largest trading partners. So the tariffs worked. The secretary told the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Financial Services and General Government that they have received good offers from the countries they are currently negotiating with in the wake of President Donald Trump's tariffs. Bessent did not give a specific timeline for when trade deals would be reached, but he said he expects most deals will be reached by the end of the year, according to Fox Business. There are 18 very important trading relationships. We are currently negotiating with 17 of those trading partners, Bessent said. China, we have not engaged in negotiations with as of yet, but China and we are starting to make overtures to each other about, getting our trade dispute worked out. Approximately 97 or 98% of our trade deficit is with 15 countries. 18% of the countries are major trading partners, and I would be surprised if we don't have more than 80 or 90% of those wrapped up by the end of the year, he continued. That may be much sooner. I would think that perhaps as early as this week, we will be announcing trade deals with some of our largest trading partners. Bessent did not specify which countries they expect to deal with soon or what the details of those deals would be, but he did state he believes the U.S. will see a reduction in the tariffs it's charged by other countries. Hours after his testimony, officials indicated that formal trade negotiations with China could take place as early as Thursday when the secretary travels to Switzerland. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer is also expected to meet with Chinese trade officials in Switzerland. The testimony also coincided with Trump's meetings with new Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Oh, okay, they have met already. My bad. Canada and Mexico are two of the U.S.'s largest trading partners, along with China, Germany, and Japan. I fully expect us to completely, our trade with Japan that's going to be worked out like no time.
Well, one can hope.
But yeah, no, the tariffs have worked. We said we're going to do it, and then Trump made it official with the executive orders, and then all of our trading partners were like, whoa, buddy. Whoa, we didn't expect you to actually do it. God, okay, fine. If you really feel that strongly about it, sure, let's negotiate. We can figure out a more beneficial trading, trade agreement between our two nations. So yeah, everybody who said the tariff scheme was going to be a complete failure was wrong. Wrong. Dead wrong. But no, it worked exactly the way Trump said it would. He said that three things are going to happen with these tariffs. We're going to generate revenue, we're going to create new jobs, and we're going to get new trade deals with all of our trading partners. The revenue generation, that's iffy. Shut up, my dog. The amount of money generated by these new tariffs, it's going to be impossible to tell, mostly because they just went into place, so we don't, it's going to be relatively minuscule. Even if we ever get concrete numbers. But the two of the other three things, job creation and trade deals, new trade deals, we got both of those. Hyundai and Kia, which I know they're the same company, owned by the same parent company, but they are technically separate car brands. But
Yeah,
but Hyundai and Kia are both opening new factories here in the United States. Nissan and Toyota are going to expand their American manufacturing. Other companies have, started to, make moves to start having stuff produced here in the United States to get around tariffs. So jobs are being created, and we are getting new trade deals. So maybe the whole thing about the tariffs being revenue generation is just never going to come to pass because they didn't have a chance to, because we're not going to be using these tariffs for very long.
Yep.
So yeah, good job. Good job. Trump did a good. He did a good. The tariffs, a lot of people were really upset by them, but nature is healing, as it were. Nature is healing. $13, not, I mean, I mean, I understand where you're coming from with that, but you got to understand, like from a degree, yes. Okay, so if a Korean car manufacturer like Kia and Hyundai, while yes, it ends up being a South Korean company that reaps the benefits of these cars being sold to, but you have to understand that there's all the Americans that are positively affected by that deal. So first of all, there's all the Americans that get jobs in these new factories. I would agree with that, except American cars are dog shit. I'm sorry, but General Motors vehicles are dog shit. Ford's newer vehicles are dog shit, and I say this as a Ford guy. Like, there's a reason why Toyota is the
I
biggest.
mean, I'd argue that Ford's vehicles have always been dog shit, but
Shut your whore mouth.
You are a whore, you slut. Fuck you.
No, but
Like, I'm not saying the GM is any good either.
yeah, well, there's a reason why Toyota is the biggest car manufacturer in the world. Why Toyota cars, Toyota trucks, why Toyota is because their cars
King, basically.
and their trucks are the best. I mean, it is what it is. Now, you're going to find people disagree with that. Some people who will say this company's better, this company's better, this company's better. Well, sure, I'm not saying that.
Sales volume.
I understand.
It
13.
literally comes down to that, right?
He says that every company makes good shit and bad shit. I'm a retired mechanic. And I'm not saying that Ford and I'm not saying American companies don't make good shit. Again, I drive an F-150, so I'm with you on that. But what I'm saying is that let me get back to the point. Yes, does the Hyundai and Hyundai, whatever the fuck, and Kia example, they ultimately reap the benefits because it's their cars being sold. But what about the American workers who benefit from the jobs? What about the American owned and operated Hyundai and Kia dealerships where they make their commissions and they sell cars to Americans? What about the American consumer who are buying good products at a good price? He drives an Alfa Romero. What the fuck is that, liar? Is that an Italian
Alfa
car?
Romeo. It's an Italian car, yeah. This is coming from someone who appreciates Europeans, but Alfa Romeo is like, well, okay. Look, I'll put it down this way to the like from a fan of Alfa Romeos that I've met through my life. They're basically like Italian women.
Yeah.
High maintenance, but ultimately never worth it. Now, I've never like really owned an Alfa Romeo. The only one I've ever had was in 2017 Giulia. So you can't say it's their thing. But I generally get put off from them because they're part of Fiat, and I've never really seen anything good that Fiat comes out with. Like Fiat basically owns Chrysler at this point, and I don't think I need to elaborate my point on what's happened to Chrysler. Yeah. So.
Yeah, one of the big American three, GM, Chrysler, Ford, and Chrysler is basically owned by Italians now. But again, the point is that there's tons of Americans who are going to benefit from these trade deals. I mean, specifically the car manufacturing thing. Like, Americans who buy these cars are going to benefit. Americans who manufacture these cars are going to benefit. The Americans that sell these cars are going to benefit. Yes, does all of that trickle upwards to the South Korean overlords of Kia and Hyundai? Yeah, sure, it does. But like, so all of these Americans who are going to benefit along the way, fuck them, because the owner of the car company is Korean. And again, I don't have a problem.
And I mean, like we could literally fix this by like just having those American car companies make actual good cars again. As I keep saying, like I've never been a big fan of GM apart from the incarnation they have in Australia, because for whatever reason, Australian GM Holden is just seems like from experience down here, it feels it seems like they're just leaps and bounds better than whatever the hell the conditions are over there. So I don't know,
Yeah, I don't know either, but yeah, no, I think that this is all ultimately going to be good. Things are turning out the way we want to. I'm getting what I voted for. I voted for this, and I'm happy with the result. So yeah, honestly, that was a show.
Yeah, I'm like going back to the whole like uh what's it called, to the whole India Pakistan thing. I spoke to a friend of mine in another server, and the prediction. Okay, like he asked me like what my prediction is, and I told him like, look, it ultimately comes down to what the God Emperor does, because yeah, and I'm just happy to have been kind of vindicated. You know.
Vindication is a great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great feeling. One of the best feelings. But yeah, let's. What did he say? I had a Cadillac ATS4 before this Alpha, and it was amazing. I wanted a V Series Caddy until I found my mistress, Guila.
The Julia, yeah, the Julia is the one that the one that the only thing I had as well. So as I said, like I liked it, but I can't really offer much in terms of thing. But hey, look, we don't get Cadillacs down here unless you
You have to import them.
specifically import them and then go through like the re-engineering process to get them, you know, swapped over to right hand drive. So
Are you guys not allowed to drive left-hand cars? Like even like
you do,
period.
but there's like a special permit for it.
Oh, interesting. Because you don't
And
have to
I
do
don't
that.
think, and I don't think another thing you can get regular registration for it as well. You
As
have
far
to
as
get
I
like a
know, I
club.
mean, 13 might be able to correct me on this, but as far as I know, if you import a vehicle with right-hand drive,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to do any other than making it street legal in your state. So maybe your state requires you to have a catalytic converter on it or something like that. Like here in Kentucky, we don't have any emission standards, so I could literally just import a foreign car, have it registered in the
Mm-hmm.
state, and drive it on the road. Like I don't have to make any modifications to the vehicle, as far as I know.
Yeah, but that's in the U.S.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Here, there's all sorts of stupid shit that you have to go through. It's fucking yeah. It's
Yeah, well, regulations are fake and gay. They're fake and gay. The fakest and the gayest. But yeah, no. That was a good show. We should probably go ahead and call it.
yep,
But yeah, we'll see you cuts next week.
yep. Take care.